3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hello and welcome back to Three Guys Talk About Football. I am 130, your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. I am joined, as always, from College Station and Stillwater, Oklahoma, respectively, by Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder. Guys, second week of district, a lot of shakeup, as is reflected in our rankings. Walker, I'll go with you first, out of sympathy for a 10-7 pick record last week. Your thoughts on that interesting outing, but more importantly, private school football in its current state?
Yeah, I was gonna tell you. I was like, man, not a good week, man. Not a good week. It was just kind of, just I picked the wrong schools. I kind of, was a little trying to be a little fancy with it. Sometimes you got to be fancy and you just got to run the football, get the right picks in, and that's just not what I did last week.
Run the football, what Texas A&M should have done on the 2-yard line for the win against Alabama. Ryan Schroeder, your thoughts on last week's events in private school football?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, let's be honest, y'all. I just tail Wes on every pick. Y'all better know this at this point. I'm tailing Wes on every pick for the rest of the year, and I'll have like that one sneaky pick in like week like 9 or 10, and it's gonna go. It's gonna tie us, and then when it's a tie, I just keep the trophy, right?
We're gonna flip a coin or something for it. We'll figure that out.
I don't know. I think it's just stay in the winner's house. But yeah, honestly, it was what's called. It was a good week, and 14-3, I'm not upset with at all. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, this is just like a NASCAR race, and Ryan is just drifting off of me, trying to stay away from the win. He's going to try to slingshot out the last second. I'm not going to let him because I'm an experienced driver. And now moving into, as always, the second segment, the Texas Private School Podcast Players of the Week. And the Texas Private School Podcast Offensive Player of the Week, sophomore wide receiver from Liberty Christian Argyle, Brady Janasek. Brady had 6 catches, 110 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns receiving, and also had 113 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns there for 223 all-purpose yards and 5 touchdowns in a win against Fort Worth Christian. I mean, guys, Brady is proving himself to be one of the best in the 25 class and also one of the best receivers and athletes, period, in all of TAPS. Walker, you first. I mean, your thoughts on Brady Janasek's incredible effort against FWC.
Wes, you did that. You said it perfectly, man. I think Brady is one of the best receivers in the state, not just TAPS. I think in the state, man. This 25 wide receiver is for real, and being able to they trust him enough not just to catch the ball, right? Be a receiver that he's been dominating all year doing, but he also can rush the ball, like you see in his stats. Like, that is nuts for how good of an athlete he is. You see the production he has in the stat line, man. Congratulations to Brady Janusek, for sure one to watch for any coaches watching this. He is the real deal.
Without a doubt. Ryan, your thoughts on Brady Janasek's effort?
So I was watching the live stream this past week, and I was just watching this behemoth. He says he's 6'3", 190. He must have gained a couple pounds and maybe an inch or two since he's last redone his bio, because looked like a man above children. Like, he was like absolutely stomping through every ball he caught. It just felt like he was like stronger than everybody else to get to the end zone, powered his way through. I feel like I'm gonna tune into another Liberty game this week as well, just because I want to see, because I saw like 2 or 3 of the touchdowns and I thought to myself, like, that's kind of nuts. But I want to watch more of the games, actually focus in on Janasek, because he gets the ball almost like every dang play, it feels like, for their offense. So, I feel like there's a lot to know from that guy. And if you're just watching him as a sophomore right now, imagine what he's going to be in 2 years as a senior. So
yeah. I want to say, I remember us texting about it last night. And you were telling us like updates, and he goes, make that 28. Someone, that other guy scored. I was like, who's he? And then I was like, definitely Janusek. And then he just responded right back. He's like, yeah, Janusek. I was like, knew it. Like, that's how good of a player he is. He's
100%.
on there. He's just that type of dude, man.
Yeah, without a doubt. So shout out to Brady Janusek, the Texas Private School Podcast Offensive Player of the Week. And now for the Texas Private School Podcast Defensive Player of the Week, senior athlete from St. Michael's Christian, Malachi Smith. Smith had 14 tackles, 8 solo, half a tackle for loss, and 2 interceptions, and both of these interceptions were returned for touchdowns, one for 33 yards, and one was a 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. Guys, I mean, just an absolutely insane stat line from a stellar athlete in Malachi Smith. Walker, your thoughts on Smith's just incredible performance?
I mean, he's the real deal. We've said it for a very long time. The athlete is he's so versatile, so explosive. Just he's the real deal, man. And I know any team in the state would want him on their team because he's that type of player. He has that dog mentality too, where he just wants to go to work and just get the best result. Like, he doesn't matter how it is, he just wants to win. And I really like that in a player. Like, he just, does what he needs to do, gets his job done. It's a business trip to him. And the stats speak for themselves. Carson Kruger has a lot of fun having him as the receiver, but also he can get the job done on the defensive side and be a lockdown quarter, which you saw to this past week. I know they lost, but that's still a great performance by the 23 athlete. Congrats, Malachi.
Yeah, for sure. Malachi certainly has that dog in him. Ryan, your thoughts on Malachi Smith?
It's funny. Some kids are going to be aspiring to hit 100 yards in one game just by, just like rushing or whether it be receiving or whatever. How about doing 100 yards on just interception returns alone?
It's nuts.
That's something that I bet, a lot of people can't say they've done either in any Texas high school football capacity, whether it be private or public. Malachi Smith, that really is something. We don't see 2 pick six a lot, and you don't see 14 tackles on top of that. Especially for a guy that plays 2 ways. So Malachi, what a heck of a night, man. And no other person, can compete with a guy that literally, took 2 pick sixes for more than 100 yards back. So
without it, I love you bringing that up. That's such a crazy stat that he had over 100. He had 120 yards in interception return. That's absolutely crazy. Congratulations, Malachi Smith, the Texas Private School Podcast Defensive Player of the Week. And now, before we get into discussing last week's matchups, we're going to take a look at the TXPS Media football scoreboard put together by Ryan every Friday, and just take a look here at any scores that pop out to us. One thing that I see: St. Thomas drums Central Catholic in a game they needed to win to establish themselves as one of the better teams in the state. Midland Christian gets a huge win over Fort Worth All Saints 28-26. Definitely watching the Mustangs moving forward. Bishop Dunn drums Coram Deo as expected. Fort Bend Christian destroys Lutheran South in a game that we will talk about here in a second. Cypress Christian gets a nice win against Houston Christian. Kincaid destroyed St. Mark's. Parish obviously dismantles Bishop Lynch. Austin Regents had a closer than expected game against Brownsville St. Joseph's 38-28. I mean, I think the spread on that game was probably closer to 25 or 30 points, but St. Joe's kept it close. And you got to wonder, Austin Regents is human. I mean, they are supposedly beatable. We might see that, at least early or later in playoffs. And then following that, John Cooper destroys Fort Worth Country Day. Not destroys, it's a 16-point victory if my math is correct. And then Brook Hill just blank Shelton. So, guys, I think that's
22.
22. Sorry, dude. I don't have Excel open.
That's
Anyways, Ryan, you first, since you're already calling me out. Anything else on this scoreboard stick out that you want to discuss?
Nah, I mean, honestly, I think what the big one of the night was the St. Pius win over Concordia. I mean, I don't think any of us had that one when it came to all of us getting a loss on that slate. We all had Concordia, and Concordia had been winning a lot of games at that point, but that's a really, really good St. Pius win at home against Concordia. And then obviously I was watching the end of that Fort Worth All Saints Midland Christian game. It came down to the wire. I mean, literally, they scored with less than 30 or maybe 45 seconds left in the game for the All Saints, and they missed the 2-point conversion to tie to go to overtime. So really, really close battle in what is seen as the hardest district in all of TAPS. So yeah, the rest of the games though, kind of went according to what I thought it would have happened. But yeah, honestly, those 2 games specifically were the ones that I was, just the most hyped up on, surprised by.
Definitely so. Walker Lott, your thoughts on the scoreboard?
I guess I'll go front to back or back to front. John Cooper, was close with Fort Worth Country Day at the half and then pulled away. So, finally started playing their game. So that's very impressive by them. Yeah, the Austin Regents kind of feel like, hey, they got cut, like 1,000 cuts, and they got their first cut, and they're showing, hey, they actually do bleed. They're not the invincible as everyone thinks they might be. So that's very impressive. Temple Christian, the guys down in Fort Worth. I got to give love to those guys in the 817. 6-0, I believe now, and that's a big times team. Congrats to y'all, man. We're paying attention. Don't you worry. We're paying attention to y'all over there. Parish Episcopal rolls in the district and does what we kind of expected them to do. I think like Sawyer threw 5 touchdowns in 24 minutes or something like that. I mean, that's what you expect. Holy Cross, very good win over Shiner St. Paul. And I think, TCA has a really tough non-district schedule, but hey, I think this is their, hey, welcome back to TAPS D1 moment with a big, big win for Prestonwood over them. Kind of be like, hey, you had the rough schedule, but you're getting back in the district and this is how it is. And then the St. Thomas game, Central kept it close at halftime, I believe, right, guys? And then Cardenas and company had a very good game to put the game away. But hey, Central Catholic isn't one to just go away easily. So congrats to St. Thomas. But yeah, and All Saints. I mean, All Saints losing, that's a big, big win for Midland Christian.
Yeah, definitely so. So without a doubt, as always, a lot of interesting points to highlight from last week. But now we're going to transition into talking about 5, actually technically 6 specific games that we highlighted. The first one being the game that I went to cover, which was Lutheran South at Fort Bend Christian, which ended up as a 49-0 win for the Fort Bend Christian Eagles. Fort Bend came out and executed exactly what they needed to Friday night. We have traditionally talked about the elite Eagle offense, but I have to shout out the defense for them in this contest. Sophomore Max Granville, senior Connor Tallis, and junior Ivan Jimmy Ducksworth rained absolute hellfire down on the Pioneer frontier all night long, and they resembled an anaconda the way they squeezed the life out of the LSA offense.
That was great, man. I really liked that. That was really good.
It's the best analogy I can come up with. I mean, they just absolutely squeezed the life out of LSA all night. Now, you have to credit the Eagle offense as well. Senior quarterback Brady Dever is still one of the best in the entire state and looked like it on Friday. Sophomore athlete Kobe Sellers is also going to become a household name in a very short time here. Already holding an offer from Texas Tech, he runs a 21.8 200 meters as a sophomore, and that speed directly translates to the gridiron as he had 3 rushing touchdowns on the contest. Add in guys like Braylon Gardoni, Noah Brooks, who had 2 touchdowns, Tyler Curry, and 6'8", 310 Bennett Warren blocking up front. And Fort Bend Christian is still a front runner for the best team in the South. I also need to mention for Lutheran South, junior running back Wesley Willingham and senior Jalen Lowry, who were both very impressive for LSA in the loss. So, guys, y'all don't need to speak as intensively on this game since y'all weren't there. But, Walker, you first. Your thoughts on Fort Bend Christian executing as needed against Lutheran South?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good win to start district for Fort Bend. You kind of expected them to do. I'm really excited. We'll talk about it later, but I'm going to be down there to watch Fort Bend Second Baptist this week. And I've heard a lot of buzz about, the 25 Max Granville, 25 Kobe Sellers, but I'm excited to see that whole team like Bennett Warren, Brady Dever. I mean, our offensive player of the year last year. Big, good team, and I'm excited to watch them. But hey, shout out to our guy Jalen Lowry. He's a really good player for LSA. And Wesley Willingham. I saw some of the clips that Wes was tweeting. Them, man, he's a big boy and runs strong. So a big boy. And yeah, how was that quarterback Wes down there for that 2026 quarterback?
He was good when he wasn't getting chased all around the field. I mean, I didn't get a great sample to look at because he was pressured literally almost every single play.
Right.
I mean, he's going to be good, and obviously his future is in baseball. Really interesting to see how long he sticks with football here. Ryan, your thoughts on Fort Bend blanking Lutheran South?
Yeah, I think what I have to assume with this is just, Fort Bend is just that team this year. They're one of the strong suits in D2. However, Lutheran South isn't a team that I think is getting, shut out, right? Because, they got a shutout win against Cypress. They got a 10-point win against St. Michael's, a really good win against Houston Christian, only a 7-point loss on the road to Concordia. A team that honestly is, playing really well this year. I don't think this Fort Bend loss is one that I was truly expecting in that fashion. I thought little Lutheran South and guys, and guys like Jalen Lowry and Wesley Willingham, I thought maybe, Lutheran South would have put up some numbers, but let me say this. I just think that Fort Bend is just that team this year. And And I think Fort Bend and Brady Dever, we had maybe some doubts about them coming into the season a little bit, but I think it's very, very clear to see that like this Fort Bend team is back in action and they're running the ship this year.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have doubts about them coming into that. We were very high on them coming into the season. Then after weeks 1 through 3, we kind of dipped a little bit. Now I think the curve's kind of coming back up and the hype train is starting to build a little bit more for Fort Bend Christian. But that is all we're going to discuss regarding that game. Moving into the second game, we're going to recap Grace Prep at Pantego Christian. And Jalen Talton just goes off here and ultimately leads the Lions to a 39-34 victory over the Panthers. Talton threw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. 2 of those touchdowns went to junior Caden Lehue. Talton also added 74 yards on the ground, whereas sophomore Bryce Prince led the Lions in that department with 113 yards on 25 carries with a touchdown. As for Pantego, senior running back Noah Harbor kept them in the game with 15 rushes for 140 yards and 3 touchdowns, and also adding a receiving touchdown. I hope y'all started him in fantasy because that's a crazy stat line. But, Grace Prep gets a big win here against an underrated Pantego team. Walker, I mean, it's a win that the Lions needed to get, and it's one they ultimately got. Your thoughts on Grace Prep here?
No, that's a big, big win for Grace Prep. That's a close game. Pantego has a pretty good squad over there. We talked about it on the space. Go listen to it every week. It's a good time. But we talked about them really, really well. Grace Prep is a team to beat in Division III. Dallas Christian is still the front runner, but Grace Prep has a lot of good guys. Jalen Talon had a great game. 0 interceptions. That's big. For a guy who loves to throw the ball, being able to not turn the ball over is very, very impressive. And, Caden Lehue is another guy who we mentioned last time. And then, Bryce Prince is a 2025 guy. They have Caleb Mathis, the 24 wide receiver we talked about last week. And Pantego, they have some guys, man, that we're going to be interesting to watch to see how Pantego does, because I could see this team, another matchup of this game in the playoffs this coming in November?
November,
something around that. Ryan, your thoughts on Grace Prep beating Pantego on the spot?
Yeah, the Arlington Showdown, man. I mean, it's a matchup that I bet the rivalry runs deep here. One of the D3 matchups that I definitely look forward to every year. I think this was just probably about what I thought. Just a really close game. Came down to the wire, and I think you got guys like Jalen Talton who kind of push a team like Grace Prep over the edge, because Jaden Talton's match with Caden Lehue is something that you only see out of like a couple teams, like teams having that chemistry. There's only a couple teams that I can feel like throughout private school that have that chemistry down pat. And I think Grace Prep is one of them. However, don't sleep on Pantego. Pantego is right there with Grace Prep. I think these are really 2 evenly matched teams. So,
yeah, I mean, it was a game that we knew was going to be close going into it, but ultimately Grace Prep did what they needed to do in this spot and got a 5-point victory. So transitioning into the next game, we're going to discuss Lubbock Christian at Weatherford Christian. Weatherford makes a statement win here with a commanding 47-28 victory over the presumed favorite in TAPS D4. It does have to be stated, Bax Townsend, I mean, the front runner for player of the year in D4, did not play in this game. He's in concussion protocol. We were discussing whether we thought Bax Townsend made up, what is that, 19 points? Yeah, sorry. Hey, I did the math right there.
Yeah, that's good.
We were questioning whether Bax Townsend makes up 19 points they lost by. The jury's out on that. He's a very important player, but I mean, at the end of the day, you have to credit Weatherford for doing the job they had in front of them, which was beating Lubbock Christian with or without Bax Townsend.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of athletes there, Braden Bork had 19 total tackles, 7 of them solo, an interception, which was an 85-yard pick six. On the ground, he had 10 rushes, 120 yards, and a touchdown. And receiving, he had 1 reception for 56 yards and another touchdown and a 2-point conversion, just because why not throw that on top? But Walker, there's a lot of semantics here. There's going to be an asterisk, next to this game, no matter what, because of Bax Townsend's absence. But your thoughts on Weatherford Christian getting a big win here?
No, I think it's a statement win. I mean, yes, it's part of the game is, you have to make sure you're healthy, and that's not what Lubbock Christian had at that time. And sometimes that's how it goes, but you have to know disrespect to Weatherford Christian. I expected this from Weatherford Christian. Weatherford Christian is a good team, and they showed it in this one. Shout out to my guys, kind of in the Fort Worth area, depending on what you say. But big win for Weatherford. Braden Bork is that guy. We were told about this guy back in tap 7-on-7, being like, hey, look out for this guy. He's the real deal. And he showed it in a big time game against Lubbock Christian. Hunter McCoy probably did his thing. The Twins did their thing. So shout out to Weatherford Christian. That's a big win for them. Braden Borg, Hunter McCoy, the rest of those guys. Shout out to them.
Sorry, we're going to just cut into that, and people are going to be wondering why I'm laughing, and you'll never know because you don't get to see what we cut out. Anyways, Ryan, your thoughts on Weatherford Christian getting a big win over Lubbock Christian on the spot?
Hey, man, Braden Bork and Hunter McCoy combined for 5 touchdowns, by the way. Let that be known. Hunter McCoy himself had, let's see if I can do some mental math, 260 yards. He had 260 total yards for just him passing and rushing. And yeah, the two of them combined for 5 total touchdowns. That's super impressive. And whatever you want to say about Bax Townsend being hurt or whatever, and the asterisks on this game, 5 touchdowns combined between 2 of your best players is just, something special, right? That's something special no matter what. You can't take that away from those guys. And this is a good Weatherford Christian win, whether it has an asterisk or not. People said last year with the Nolan Catholic stuff that there's a lot of asterisks on all those games because of different things. And this is totally different. But I'm just saying in general, all the stuff that says asterisks on whatever the game that you say, a win's a win, a loss on your record. And you just have to roll with how it is. And I think right now, Lubbock Christian the rest of the guys that play with Bax Townsend have to say, all right, what are we going to do this next week if Bax can't play this next upcoming week? What can we do to work our way? We're not just a one-man squad. And I think Lubbock Christian could definitely, as soon as Bax gets back or without Bax, I think they could do something special just because we know how strong of a team they are.
Completely agree. But moving on into sadly the next game that we have to cover, Grace Community at Grapevine and Faith. And sadly, as expected, Faith routs Grace 50-6 in a game that sets Faith as the favorite to win D2 District 2. What, Ryan? Yeah,
really?
no. Listen, I was the one that expected this. I had Grace kids commenting on the story I posted saying we're not mad, we're just disappointed. We're sad you picked against us. And that broke my heart. But sadly, I'm not here. I'm not on this podcast to make friends or boost egos. I'm here to state facts. And sadly, Faith is a better team than Grace this year. I hate to say it, but they are. Some just wild stat lines in this game. Chase Cross completes only 6 passes. 3 of those passes were for touchdowns, 2 of which went to Parker Barley, who had 3 receptions for 2 touchdowns, 139 yards, averaged 45 yards a catch. I don't know. I mean, they diced up Grace in every way possible. Faith is just on a different level this year. Walker, you picked Grace foolishly, and that's the Grace alum telling you that. But your thoughts on Faith just setting themselves apart from this district?
I am proud of
He's
Grace.
proud to be a Cougar. He's proud to be
So
a
am
Cougar.
I.
Proud
So am I.
to be a Cougar. And sometimes the games just don't go your way. It's just not your night. And that's what happened to Grace this time. So keep going, guys. I'm proud of y'all. Keep going strong. Cougar pride, all of that. Some guys believe in you, and I do. I believe in Nick Stewart. I believe in Reed Alexander. I believe Jim Marion Johnson. I believe in all those guys, man. They're going to be a good team. They have a bright future ahead of them, even in this thing. Hey, they're going to beat Legacy. They're going to play a good game against Dunn. And they're going to beat Cormdale, and they're going to get in the playoffs, and they're going to shock some people. So that's how I see it. But hey, got to give my flowers to Grapevine Faith. They're a good team. Chase Cross is the real deal over there. I apologize, by the way, for not updating your photo. I will do that from this time around. But anyways, yeah, Grapevine's a really good team. Clayton Sabecki, John Raybook, Campbell Stites, I believe is his name. He's a good player over there. So yeah, overall, a really good team. Just not the week for Grace, but hey, I have to give my flowers. Good win for Grapevine Faith.
Do you think I don't know what you were trying to do there?
No, what do you mean?
I will burn you to the ground. That is my school.
Wow.
That is my pride and joy. You're not undercutting me
dang.
for this. You're not cutting this out either. And I'm gonna keep talking so it'll make it real. It'll make it really, really hard for you to cut out. Ryan Schroeder, your thoughts on Faith getting a win against Grace Community in this spot?
Yeah, honestly, I'll be straight up here. It's with how this district is set up. It's set up in a way where Faith was supposed to run this whole district, and whether that's happening or not, then we'll see. But honestly, there's not a lot you can do when the offense is set up by Chase and it's set up with Clayton, and so they put Clayton in the slot, or they put Clayton in the running back position, and then when Clayton's in the slot, they put Raybuck in the running back slot. Like, they have so many options with that offense, and not even to mention, I haven't even mentioned their main wide receivers yet. Like, I'm telling you right now, that offense runs super, super well. Only thing is, I know that defense can be, taken down by some of the offenses like a Forest Christian and stuff like that, right? So, after seeing that in person, I saw that, Forest Christian, they had a couple of tall wide receivers that kind of ran all over Grapevine, right? So that when I get back to this stage, I do think they're beatable 100%. However, can a team, if Grace can't do it, can a team like Bishop Dunn do it? Can a team like Coram Deo do it? Can a team like...
No.
I'm not even going to mention my team. But, the question is there. Maybe a team like Dunn could go up and surprise them and stuff like that. Because Faith is beatable. Just the thing that I have to say about this is Faith is just a really talented team. And only losing by 7 points, though, a really tough Forest Christian team, and how close that game was. The game came out of the wire. Like, Chase Cross almost threw a game-winning touchdown to go to overtime. So I know that Faith team is strong. And, yeah, I just... It'll be tough to see what can happen. Me and Wes, we had all that pride in that dang district, but yeah, I feel like Faith is just really strong. So,
how does one throw a game-winning touchdown to go to overtime?
Game
tying touchdown.
Dude, Wes, whatever. You know
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
Walker?
yeah.
Walker, we're taking over his school.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I'm a Cougar for life, man. I'm wearing my blue. Come on.
This is Wes Hate Week. I've decided this is Wes Hate Week.
No, I encourage y'all to progress with that plan, because very interesting things will happen to both of you. Mess around and find out.
Maybe get some keys. Maybe get some keys in the mail.
If you look at the chart, if you mess around more, you will find out more. You go.
That's an elite video.
That's a good elite video. Moving on. Second to last game we're going to cover, Liberty Christian at Fort Worth Christian. Liberty Christian just establishes themselves here as the best team in the North, following a 44-34 victory over Fort Worth Christian. Sophomore athlete Brady Janicek, we've already talked about at length, is emerging as one of the best in a loaded class of 25, going for 5 total touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 2 through the air, racking up 223 all-purpose yards, and with quarterback Jacob Vaughn and a defense consisting of Quentin Brown and Trey Turner, Liberty Christian looks virtually unstoppable at the moment. Walker, your thoughts on Liberty Christian getting a win against Fort Worth Christian? Nah, I mean, who would have thought? Not me, about this Liberty Christian team. They looked good in 7-on-7, so that could have been a good indication, but you try to not put too much into 7-on-7. Then they come in and then they just start out really strong and they just keep on firing on all cylinders, man. It's a very, very impressive team. Man, I said in the thing, I picked Fort Worth Christian because I believed in in the line of scrimmage and all of that. I mean, I don't think it mattered. A 10-point win over Fort Worth Christian is a big, big win for them. I remember that Trey Turner hit. Remember seeing that? That dude's a real deal, man. He's the real deal. A long, lanky corner that is strong and loves to hit. I mean, that's exactly what you want. And Quentin Brown, Jacob Vaughn, all those guys, Reeves, Baller on the defensive line has had a great year. They're loaded, man. They're young too. It's just interesting to watch how this team is going to grow and become better over time. 4 receivers with 10+ catches. 6 different receivers have caught touchdown passes. 7 players with 10+ tackles. Team has 13 sacks and 10 interceptions. I mean, this team is versatile. They're good, not just in a couple players. They're good throughout the team. And that's what makes a good team, is where you can rely not on just 1 or 2 guys, but the entire team to do their job correctly. So shout out to Liberty Christian, man. That's a big, big win over another really good team in the North in TAPS Division 2. and they look strong going into the rest of the slate and district.
Ryan, Liberty Christian, good at football. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they're pretty good at football. Football is pretty good for Liberty Christian, and Fort Worth Christian's pretty good at football. So I'm just kidding. If I'm being 100% serious, we already talked about Janisek. We know Janisek is a dog, but what I was gonna say is overall, it's just this is the 1-2 punch in that district, in my opinion. You really have, and the 1-2 punch in that district is a 10-point spread with Liberty Christian being the away team. So think about that much because Liberty Christian is number one in my opinion, and then you go Fort Worth Christian, and then the rest of the spout goes down, right? You have the Fort Worth All Saints game and Midland game that we just saw play, and I think overall you can kind of put these teams to the 1-2, just because honestly, they play super impressive. Both these teams are loaded on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And, if you have Janisek on this team and Jacob Vaughn and all these other guys, and then on Fort Worth Christian, you have Hogan Nelson throwing the ball. Think about this. Just the 2025, on the field that Friday night with Hogan Nelson and Janisek and all that. I mean, that's super impressive as it is. As well as you had guys like Luke Anderson and Jacob Trimble and Jordan Green, just a lot of star talent out there at one time, in my opinion. So, yeah, honestly, a really, really good win for Liberty Christian, and kind of just solidifies them as one of the top teams in all private school.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, it's very hard to debate that they're not the best team in D2 right now, let alone one of the best teams in all of private schools. Moving forward, the last game we're going to recap is Houston St. John's at Bel Air Episcopal, and it would be a disservice to let anyone but Walker Lott describe this game since he was on site covering this. So, Walker, take it away.
Yeah, I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm kind of going off my head. Sorry, I just came back from DFW. Bel Air Episcopal, big win for them. They're a very good win. Carson Gordon is the real deal. I believe he scored like 5 touchdowns on the night. He is the offers he's gotten, the name status coming into Bel Air, right? He's proven why this year. He's a really good player. He's versatile, athletic, and he has accuracy. He's able to read the defense really, really well, find where he needs to go. If he needs to run out of the pocket, find it over. It's effortless to him. And it's really, really impressive. And a guy of that stature and that status, it should be effortless to him. And you see why that team has turned around so well for him and all the receivers they have, Lane Linebarger, Andre Thompson. They're a good squad, man. Defensively, they're without their best defensive lineman, and they still look dominant. They were getting to the passer all night. They're off the switching over to St. John's for a second. Cole Allen is the real deal. First time ever seen him in person, watching him live. He's the real deal. He's a Division I talent. He's a really good player. He made a fantastic thing. It was like a 5-yard out turned into a 65-yard touchdown. Very, very impressive. Stephen Gill is a good quarterback. I think he's a really good quarterback, but he had no time. And when he did have time where he had to get out of the pocket, he made some very accurate throws. So he's going to be a good 2024 quarterback. But their offensive line is just not as well as you expect for a team that is that good in SPC. And I think that's what's going to kill them in the end of not reaching the SPC championship this year. They just don't have the guys up front in the trenches to kind of compete with the ESDs and the Bel Airs of the world this year. So for that reason, that's why Bel Air had just a field day with him on the defensive line. Jason Ota, the Texas A&M Commerce commit now, so congrats to him, had a really good game. Hutch Cower, the 2023 defensive lineman, offensive lineman, had a good game. Those guys are going to be really, really good. So some guys I wanted to mention, 2025 offensive lineman Alex Lozada, the offensive lineman who's played center for them, is a 25, who is 6'4", 290, looks the part, played really well on the very tall offensive line for Bel Air. Is going to be one to watch going forward. And 2025 wide receiver Logan Barty was one to watch. 6'3", 175 outside receiver, made a couple pretty impressive catches, but he's a athletic, like track and field type of guy, so he's going to relate that to the football field, so he's going to be one to watch going forward. But they have a couple other guys at receiver, Andre Thompson, of course, Jackson Ranucci was one that was very impressive. Carson Fowler, the 2025 running back, was one that was really good. And yeah, I think that's, I've kind of just rambled for a second because I don't have things in front of me. Bel Air Episcopal, really good team across the board and all things, especially in the trenches, which I think that's why They're one of the top teams in the in private school this year. But SP for St. John's, they're good, but the trenches are what make football is football and what makes football teams good to great. And they just don't have that to make them into the SBC championship this year, I don't think.
I'd have to agree. Okay, Ryan. So we basically just got 6 minutes of everything you can possibly learn about Bel Air Episcopal and St. John's. I'm going to ask you a yes or no question that we can get out of this game. That good with you?
Yeah, that works.
Is Bel Air Episcopal good at football?
Yeah, my good friend Walker Lott told me they're pretty good at football.
Perfect. Moving on. That actually concludes all of the games we're going to recap. And now we're going to talk about some other news, starting with our not inaugural, that was last week, starting with the updated rankings we have. So we're just going to flash them on the screen. You can pause when you get to your respective division and check it out more in detail. But this would be Division 1. This is Division 2. These are Divisions 3 and 4. These are the SPC rankings. And this finally is the top 10 overall. So, Walker, we've had a lot of shakeup. There's a lot of up and down movement. We're still, the rankings are still in their infant stage. We're trying to really figure out where these teams are going to settle before we get deeper into the district season. Your thoughts on all of the movement up and down?
Yeah, D1 makes sense. D2, Argyle Liberty beat number 3, so they move up. Austin Regents kept it close with a 10-point game. They move down 1. The other things in D2 make sense. D3, D4, trying to rank those Division 4 teams are hard to do, man. Trying to figure out, all right, is Weatherford Christian the best? Is Lubbock Christian the best? Is Munster the best? It's very hard to figure that out. Temple Christian, we're watching you, man. We're keeping an eye on you, and you're right outside. But hey, you keep winning, you're going to be going up. Don't you worry. So we're watching you. SPC makes sense. And then top 10 overall. I mean, John Cooper makes it into the top 10, so which that's a big thing for them. And then Austin Regents goes down 1. Liberty goes up to 5. I mean, yeah, I think that makes sense for itself.
Ryan, your thoughts on the variation in the rankings?
Yeah, I think the biggest one was D2, y'all. And I think y'all have to understand that just in general with D2, there's going to be a lot of shakeup. It's the division. I think if I'm not wrong, it's the division with the most teams. It's the division I feel like it's been the most competitive as well. So it's going to shake up every week because those teams keep beating each other, as what I'll say. So yeah, honestly, everything else kind of runs with how we kind of have it aligned from last week. Just moving teams up and down for their respective wins and losses that they had this past week. But overall, you're going to see a lot of switch up. So if you play for one of these D2 teams, or if you're a fan of one of these D2 teams, you're going to see a lot of switch up in D2 for sure.
Definitely so. But we also have to report on something that is more or less breaking as of 2 p.m. today, Monday, October 10th. Jeff Dicus is stepping down as the St. Michael's football coach and athletic director. Dicus is widely credited as being the architect of the Lake Travis football program. He also coached at Duncanville. But after a 2-3 start to St. Michael's season, Dicus has announced he is stepping down from both roles. He was expected to retire at the end of the season, but he has now decided to leave in the middle of St. Michael's season. Walker, I'm not going to speculate too much. That's not really who we are, but he's citing personal reasons. It's just interesting that St. Michael's is in this spot, and now it kind of compounds the problems they've already been having with their head coach and athletic director leaving in the middle of the season. Your thoughts on the spot this puts St. Michael's in?
Yeah, they have Coach Rhodes over there now. That's going to be kind of the interim guy, but it says in the article by the Statesman that the Crusaders coordinators and young talented group of coaches will continue to run the team's daily practices. And that makes sense. Our guys over there are really good guys. The coaches over there are really good people, and they have a really good mindset of going into from day to day, and they know the team really well. So I'm not worried about that, but it is interesting, for how the year has been for St. Michael's to leave mid-year. And, personal reasons are personal reasons. So I'm not going to tell a man what he needs to do or anything like that because, everyone has a different life and everyone has different reasons for different decisions. It just sucks. You get really hurt at the start of the year. You lose a lot of games you shouldn't have lost this year. And then your head coach leaves mid-year. It's like a just a snowball effect of rough things that are happening in that St. Michael's program. So it's rough over there in Austin for those guys. And, I wish the best for them for the rest of the season. Got to remain strong and, determined, disciplined to keep going in. But it's a rough time for them for sure.
Yeah, you definitely got a feel for those kids. It's just something that, I don't think the kids deserve all the outside noise and things that comes with that. But Ryan, your thoughts on Dicus leaving in the middle of the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, whatever that may be, personal reasons wise, prayers up to him and his family. We definitely are looking out for anyone in the private school space. We have been for this entire time, and we just want to let Coach Dicus' family know and everybody else out there that that honestly, he's been one of the best coaches we've seen in all of Texas. Right? You have to have just honestly a respect for him at that point. He is a 60% win percentage. If I calculate that right, I don't think that's right. Well, you know what? That's okay. He went 133 and 91. I can't do math, y'all. Basically, he did really, really well throughout his time in Texas, coaching over. It says 4 decades, so that's actually absolutely impressive. What a great coaching career. And yeah, man, St. Michael's, man. I hope everything works out well. Hope Coach Pete Rose is gonna come right in, and because obviously it's all about the kids, all about the players and stuff like that. Hope it's a smooth transition. You never want that type of stuff to be choppy, right? So St. Michael's, still gonna have a good season this season, hopefully. And yeah, obviously what's called great career of Mr. Jeff Dicus.
Yeah, definitely so. So the last thing we're going to cover before we get into our games of the week, this is a discussion we've had between the three of us casually, actually, right before we even started recording. But we were talking about, we wanted to know if this sophomore class, the class of 25, is going to be the best ever when it's all said and done. Walker, I'm not going to steal your thunder too much, but you think 21 at least in top end talent. But do you think class of 25 could be the best in terms of density? We don't have to go and talk about each individual player. Just kind of give a brief overview of what you think, Walker.
I think there's a lot of good talent in this 2025 class. If anyone follows recruiting in Texas, like I do from literally my job, a lot of people say that the class of 22 is probably one of the deepest classes in the state. You could go the 50th person in the state and still be a guy that most colleges in the country would want to go after. That could be like what it is for the private school class in 2025. Okay. They're really, really dense. A lot of really good players from the DFW in Houston, other sides, Austin, all of that. The question is, though, and you have to always wonder this in private school, right, Wes? Do they stay? That's the big question. And I hope y'all do. I hope y'all do so we can keep talking about you and you won't get any coverage like this in public school. Yeah, I can tell you that. But no, but also do whatever is best for your family. But
yeah, of course.
Anyways, but
Walker Lott is forcing you to stay in private school sports.
don't clip that, guys. Don't clip that. But anyways, guys, I hope everyone does stay because it is a really good class and it's going to be exciting classes to come. So yes, maybe it is going to be from top to bottom for the number 1 to number 50. It could be really, really good. But I just remember that 21 class with Donovan Jackson, the Brockermeyers, Preston Stone, and others. I mean, that 21 class was legendary. So
yeah, definitely so. I think there's a good chance this is the best ever when it's all said and done. Ryan, your quick thoughts on the class of 25 and just what they're made of.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just like the quarterbacks I'm even thinking of as soon as we start this is like, you got Sawyer, you got Hogan, a lot of absolute dogs at like the quarterback position. And that's just even guys that are going to, think about it. There's not that many spots to play D1 quarterback. Everybody wants to play D1 quarterback or D2 or whatever. So I don't know. It makes you think, man. It makes you really think that this 2025 class is something else, but we'll see down the line with what happens. And yeah, obviously we've had some great players come out. We have great players come out this year.
This talent, this class is talented this year in 23. And Micah Bell, Trey. Congrats. Hey, by the way, congrats, Trey, going to Stanford. That's big. Congratulations. We're gonna have a lot of what is it? Luke Anderson just committed
Yeah,
it to Montana State.
Luke and Jacob both going to Montana.
Yeah, and Jordan
Hey.
Green will be a D1 guy somewhere.
Right.
One of the guys I could see
Patrick.
Patrick. I mean, he hasn't got the D1 offers, but he should somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Somewhere down the line.
So what other D1 guys in the South? Brown, Brady Dever going to Brown.
Right.
St. Thomas. I mean, Johan is at 24, but there's gonna be. I think Jack Ward just got Valporcio or whatever the Valporcio. Jack Ward, the 23 linebacker. There's some others. I can't remember on the top of my head, but
keep coming, man.
Oh, Brian Domino, the wide receiver, has some D1 offers. So
Right.
I can't believe I just did that on the top of my head. But the encyclopedia strikes again, right? Anyways, like you're saying, there's gonna be talented classes, guys, and we're not gonna get every year the A&M, Ohio State, Texas in the top 10 of the recruiting class, right? That's just not how it is. But these guys, we have talent here in private school, man. Top to bottom in different classes. It's a really good talent. And 25 might be one of the best classes ever.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely has the potential to. But moving on, I actually lied. That's not the last thing we're going to cover. We're going to say one more thing. We want to know, we've also had a discussion, who are the best student sections in all of private school. And Walker made a claim last week that a hot take that private schools had better student sections than public schools. And honestly, I mean, you are fair to say that because you've seen both. And honestly, I might agree with you there. But without being too long-winded, if you have a good student section or know of a good student section, please put that in the comments. We're going to run a poll on Twitter and see, and we're going to discuss that next episode and really judge it, and also probably give a few of our insights from playing on who we thought were some of the most raucous student sections that we played against, because I definitely have a couple in mind. I know Walker does too. I know Walker has at least one specifically in mind. But
yeah,
moving on into the last segment, as always, our games of the week, probably the most fun segment as well. The first game we're going to cover will be Central Catholic versus Antonian. Antonian is a 1.5-point favorite. Another chapter in an old rivalry will be written this Friday as Central travels to Antonian in another war for the 726. Central relies on a staunch defense headed by SMU commit Braden Flowers. They allow 15 points per game and garnered 2 clean sheets up to this point. Whereas Antonian leads on a high-powered offense averaging 34 on the backs of junior quarterback Jace Toscano, junior wide receiver Riley Strode, and senior wide receiver Ricky Gonzalez. Here's the thing. Greg Tepper told me many moons ago that I got too starry-eyed by skill players and that the dogs in the trenches were very underweighted in my regression. I was talking to Walker, and Walker was talking on the space last Friday. Central has some beasts down low, and even with the departure of UTSA commits DeAndre Marshall and Ben Rios, there's not much fall off. So Greg Tepper, thank you so much for the advice. I greatly appreciate it. And, in this spot, I'm going to be taking Antonian prep. I do think that regardless, I think Antonian might be the better team this year. They're only a 1.5-point favorite. The game is kind of a pick 'em. I'm taking Antonian prep. I didn't really mean to do my good friend Greg Tepper like that with all the lead up, but there's no way Greg Tepper will ever see this, so it'll be all right. Give me Antonian and the points. Walker Lott, your thoughts?
I had such a I was ready. I was like, you know what? You're picking the big boys, and I always do. And now I'm gonna pick Antonian for the speed and the skill. That's literally what I was gonna do. You just, oh my gosh, why'd you just do that to me? I had the whole thing prepared. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Antonian too. I think Ricky Gonzalez might be one of the best underrated receivers in the state. I mean, he is a dog, bro. And he's gotten some good offers, and he's going to Fordham, I believe, right? Is that correct, guys? Right? Oh yeah, Fordham. I know. Trust the knowledge. But yeah, he's going to Fordham. And Jace Toscano is a really good guy over there too. They have a couple guys, man, in that class that are gonna be really, really good players. Jace Toscano, Alex Pruitt, Bode Ferguson, Riley Strode, who is a 24 guy who I'm really high on this year. And in 2025, Mikey Moreno is a guy who I'm also interested to watch. He's 25 and he's going to be a pretty good sophomore this year. There's some other guys. We talked about him in the preview over the summer, and we haven't been able to talk about them, but they're having a good season this year. What are they now? What are they? 5-1. That's a really good record. And I believe they beat, I forgot who it was. We were talking about it the other day, but a good win over some good teams down there in San Antonio. So for that, I'm going to pick Antonian.
Ryan Schroeder, we're 2-0 on Antonian. You know what I'm going to ask you to do here, but you're a free man. Make your pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go against y'all here. I have Central Catholic, and I think more so the fact is I just don't know a lot of the teams that Antonians played. And that may just be me not knowing enough teams in general. But when it comes down to it, this is a team last week that went toe to toe with Central, or that went toe to toe with St. Thomas until about maybe the third quarter, maybe even the end of the third quarter. They're playing really, really well with them, and I know the whole comment that's going to be made. Well, football's played with 4 quarters. But like, I think what I want to say with that is just the fact that this Central Catholic team has put up numbers against pretty good teams this year. You know, they went toe to toe basically with, St. Thomas. Regents was only a 15-point loss, and in reality, that game was a lot closer when you look at it. I honestly think the Central Catholic team has got something, and with guys like Ryan Perez running the quarterback position, and you have a guy like make sure I get this name right. I want to make sure I get this right. Jonathan Winecam is the guy that punched in 2 touchdowns for them last week. I honestly just think that, Central Catholic has got some dogs, and I think that in this San Antonio battle, is it disrespectful to say the Alamo, what's it called, Alamo battle?
No.
Yeah, no, okay. Well, then this is the Alamo battle of private school. There you go.
I think it's been long enough since the Alamo that we can
Yeah.
we
Sorry,
can make
just in
jokes
case
about
anyone
it.
Hey,
still.
hey. Y'all remember the Alamo today? I just
No,
remembered it.
I think I forgot it, as I
No, I just
every
got
day
you.
since 7th grade Texas history.
I just got you right now.
You're welcome for remembering the
You're
Alamo,
welcome.
guys.
Yeah,
Anyway,
thank you.
so in the battle for the Alamo, we have 2 on Antonian and 1 on Central Catholic. Moving on into a game not too far from that, a battle for Austin, Hyde Park at Austin Regents. Regents is a 36.5-point favorite in this game, which is a crazy spread for 2 6-0 teams. But the last 2 undefeateds in Austin will square off this Friday as Cinderella Hyde Park will take the carriage to the ball held at Knights Field. Hyde Park has had a tremendous start to the season, averaging 46 points per game. They boast one of the most efficient offenses in the state through 3 district games, and ultimately knocking off St. Michael's in a 27-26 overtime victory. Regents really needs no introduction here. They have not lost a district game since 2015, to which they lost to Hyde Park. Makes you think. Freshman quarterback Quinn Murphy is proving himself as one of the best young talents in the state, and with contributions from Jacob Wilburn, Adrian Verdict, Will Pope, and others, Regents is a favorite yet again to win Division II, and that's why I'm saying Cinderella won't be dancing at the ball. Give me Regents in this spot. Walker Lott, your thoughts?
Can we just talk? Like, we haven't talked about this Hyde Park team, and we need to talk about him for a second. 6-0. That's an 8, and they've scored since 2002. This was on September 10th. Hyde Park has scored 40 or more points 4 times in the first 3 weeks of the season. This year, never more than 51. The first 4 weeks, first 3 weeks, 56, 55, and 64. This is a program change that is in the right direction for these teams.
Hey Walker, it's really sad you're pumping them all up just to pick against them.
Gosh.
No, keep going.
What is this negativity in the air by Wes Tolleson?
He's trying to bait you into picking Hyde Park at this point now.
That's what I'm trying to do. And I did that last week with Grace, but I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to pick Austin Regents, dominant, and that's how they are. They'll win this one. But I want to give Hyde Park their flowers. Can I not do that, Wes?
No, continue.
Thank you. Goodness gracious, these days. Anyways, Jaden LaFawn is a pretty good athlete over there. I'm intrigued by this. Phil Dawson is the head coach over there, and he's done a pretty good job trying to turn that program around. I think this is his first year. Former NFL player. They went winless. Let's think about this, guys. Hyde Park went winless in 2021. This is a turnaround program, changing 6-0 and beating Austin St. Michael's, who's one of the best teams in Austin, we thought, this year. even with the injuries, no matter what, Austin St. Michael's, everything, that's a big win for that program direction. Yes, they might lose to Austin Regents, and I'm going to pick Austin Regents this one. But don't get it twisted. They're turning around this program. Phil Dawson, the coach over there, is turning around this team. So I'm excited for this team, man. But I wish you the best.
No, in all seriousness, I am glad you gave Hyde Park their flowers because they deserve it. A fantastic start for a team that was dead in the water a year ago. Ryan, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I don't got a lot to say. I'm not betting on the spread here. So anyone that thinks, well, you should bet on the spread, right? You're really good at betting on the spread. No, not betting on the spread. Just give me Regents here. I'll take their win as a win on the on the pick record. It's an easy little check mark.
Wes,
You know,
hey, I'm gonna make you answer this. Did they cover? Does Austin?
I was actually about to talk about that. My gut said yes, and then I remembered last week, the 10-point game against St. Joe's. I want to be honest. If I was, I don't know how to say this. If I was betting on the spread in this game, I would bet Hyde Park to cover. Yeah, I'd bet Hyde Park to cover, but I bet Regents to win outright. Don't gamble. Gambling's bad, kids. Moving on into the next game, we're going to cover Fort Bend Christian versus Second Baptist, a game that Walker Lott will be live on the ground covering. Fort Bend Christian is a 3.5-point favorite, a much more modest spread than the one prior. Two old foes will throw down Friday as Fort Bend Christian will travel to Second Baptist for some eagle-on-eagle violence. Some context here first. Second Baptist had won 8 straight district titles prior to the 2021 season. Fort Bend Christian had other plans and took that title from them. But Second Baptist ultimately got revenge in the semifinal round of the playoffs, ending Fort Bend Christian's season in heartbreaking fashion. I'm going to keep it simple here. Fort Bend Christian wins this game. The spread underrates them here due to the sluggish start to the season, but they pass the eye test with flying colors, something I think Walker will experience this Friday. And without a doubt, they cover that spread. Bet your hat, never mind, don't do that. Unless Second Baptist can add more than one dimension to their offense, I think Fort Bend Christian definitely gets it done here. Walker Lott, your thoughts?
I'm gonna pick Fort Bend in this one. I'm excited for this game, but I think this is also what happened last year, right? Fort Bend won this game, right? And then they lost to Second Baptist in the playoffs, right? And semis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Fort Bend has a lot to prove in this one because they did it in the season, and then they came around and they lost. Second Baptist had a great game plan going into that game and executed it and won. Fort Bend wants to show that all this hype, all this momentum, all this talent they have, it's not going to go to waste, and they're going to win this one really handedly. And I believe in this game. I think that defense. I think Max Granville. Hey, Max, you have something to play for this week. You need to show this team is the real deal, and you get to Turner Murdoch because I think they show how dominant all that talent is. It's gonna. I mean, I don't think they can lose if the talent comes to play. Coach Black is going to get them ready to go. I hope they remember last year in the playoffs what this game means to them because I don't think they want to feel. I think they still have that taste of losing in the semis to this team again, and for that reason, let me go Fort Bend.
Yeah, I think all that reasoning is fantastic. Also, I just remembered that somebody commented on a sticker. I think I asked for some of the biggest storylines in private school football earlier in the season or right before the season started. And somebody slid up and said Second Baptist has a huge upgrade in coaching this year. And to that, how do I do this? Really? Do they? Listen, I admittedly am very biased towards Coach Pirtle, but no, that's not Coach Pirtle. Coach Pirtle is fantastic, and I'm saying that because you brought up the game from last year, talking about their game plan. Coach Pirtle did a masterful job. So let's all pump the brakes and being excited at replacing Coach Pirtle. I got to ride for my guy. Anyway, Ryan Schroeder, Fort Bend Christian Second Baptist School. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I was a big proponent last year when it came down to the time of like the semifinals. I was a big proponent that Fort Bend would have been a better game in the championship between Fort Bend and DC versus DC and Second Baptist. I feel like it would have been a way closer game. And I think if you're Fort Bend in this position, you're saying to yourself, like, with how many guys that are returning from last year too and stuff like that on this Fort Bend team, they all have a bad taste in their mouth, like you said, Walker. Like, I am so set on Fort Bend winning this game. That I mean, yeah, I think there's too many people at Fort Bend right now that are upset about that loss last year. Wishing that they could have had a chance at DC because I think they would have put up a bigger fight than maybe SBES did against DC. So give me Fort Bend here. I think they got a lot to prove here, man. A lot to prove.
I definitely think so. Moving on into the second to last game, we're going to cover Trinity Christian Lubbock at Fort Worth Lake Country Christian. Trinity Christian Lubbock is an 18.5-point favorite in this matchup. Last year's D3 state runner-up will travel to the Metroplex on Friday to take on red-hot Lake Country. Lake Country has started the season 6-0 in Open District with a commanding 42-7 win against Trinity Christian Willow Park, putting up a staggering 46 points per game. The Trinity Christian defense will have its hands full for certain, but that defense is only allowing 13 points a game and just shut out Covenant Christian to Open District play. Factor in only a 10-point loss to D2 favorite Liberty Christian, and I have to take Trinity Christian Lubbock and Marcus Ramon Edwards in this spot. Walker Lott. Is this that hard?
It is.
Maybe I'm missing something.
Do you see the point spreads they've had? Lake Country has had 42-7, 63-49, 41-7, 41-29, 49-14, 39-28. They are putting up points on a couple good teams. My pick record's already crazy. I'm gonna do Forward Lake Country. I'm gonna go with my guys 817 all the way. Always represent. I think the Daughter Twins are gonna be something that I think they kept Liberty close. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Daughter Twins are something that is going to be interesting to watch to see how they play against this Lubbock Trinity Christian Lubbock team. Zach Anthony and the rest of that defense is going to come ready to play. I'm going to guess, I haven't watched any film of it, but I'm going to guess, Marcus Ramon Edwards probably plays a little bit of linebacker, but I think if Lake Country can stop Marcus Ramon Edwards and the rest of the offense, I think, and hold them to around 20, I think they win this game. If they let Marcus Ramon Edwards, the Texas Tech commit, run over them, then I think Lubbock wins. But I'm gonna go Lake Country in this one. It might be a little of an upset, but hey, they're what are they now? The number 3 team or number 4 team in our rankings. So hey, give me them now. Yeah, no, number 2 versus number 3. Give me the number 3 team.
I will double down and say I will be very, very surprised if TCA Lubbock doesn't cover an 18.5-point spread. I think they win by 25 or more.
Wow.
Ryan, your thoughts on the game? For some reason I'm very confident in this, which isn't a good idea, but usually. But
all I have to say is, you say not to diss on any of these teams that what's called that Lake Country has played against this year.
They're hot dog water.
But I'm sorry, Walker. I don't think any of these teams are good, man. Like, I'm none of these teams I'm looking at, I'm thinking, man, that's like a crazy. The only one I'm absolutely thinking that's a really good win is the Northland Christian because of Stone Walker and all that. But
okay, because of that, then they're putting up the amount of points you expect on those type of teams, though.
I don't know. You only beat McKinney Christian by 11 at your own place at the beginning of the year.
TCS also lost to Liberty by 10.
Oh,
so they're theoretically equal with Fort Worth Christian.
So what I'm thinking in this aspect is that guys must have done well. They have no stats online, but if we're going to talk about this, if you're only going to lose to 10 by 10 points, because TCS Lubbock is doing the exact same thing. They're putting up points on everybody they're playing this year. They just shut out Covenant on the road. So it's like, I don't know. I think I have TCS Lubbock here. However, I'm not going to say the whole big about the point spread because I know the Daughter Twins are going to do some absolutely disgusting things on the field. So when it comes down to it, it's going to be there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. Now, I just think in general that TCS Lubbock still gets the win here. But yeah, I think the Daughter brothers will still do their thing on offense and maybe, I don't know, 5 touchdowns combined between the two of them.
Hey, Daughter Twins, prove them wrong for me, please. Prove them wrong.
25-point win for Trinity Christian Lubbock. Put it in the books. Moving on to the last game we're going to cover, Fort Worth All Saints versus Walker's hometown, Southwest Christian. All Saints is favored by 9.5 points. And this, quite frankly, is a do or die spot for All Saints. They lose this game and they're going 0-4 in district. They desperately need a victory here in order to try and get some kind of momentum before running up against buzzsaws in the form of Liberty and Fort Worth Christian. The problem is SCS is not an automatic win by any means. It's just going to be a question of, will this be the SCS that beat Hollettsville, or will this be the SCS that lost to Grace Prep? I'm going to wager, and maybe foolishly, that the former is going to show up. So give me Southwest Christian in this matchup. Walker, I need you to tell me right now if this was a good or a bad decision.
Ryan, you go first.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Okay. Now, this is what I have to say about this game, because if you're All Saints, you're totally right, Wes. If you get 3 spots, right? There's 3 spots in order to make it into playoffs. So you actually have to win this game, because if you don't, then you're betting on you beating Liberty and you're betting on yourself beating Fort Worth Christian, which I just don't see that happening at all for Fort Worth All Saints. So it is just so do or die for Southwest. Now Southwest had a bye first week as well, so they're coming off of, hopefully you're ready and stuff like that. But this is a team that went head to head with Hallettsville, but at the same time lost by 5 to Grace Prep at home. It's like I totally agree with you, Wes, on this whole thing. And then for this aspect alone, I have to go forward with All Saints here. I keep picking this team, thinking, the whole definition of insanity. You keep picking a team thinking things are going to change. I'm going to keep picking this team until something changes. I have to believe going head to head with Midland Christian down to the wire means something. So I have All Saints in this game.
Interesting. Walker, I'm very interested in the theatrics that are about to roll out. So what are your thoughts on Southwest Christian versus Fort Worth All Saints?
There's gonna be no theatrics. This is tough for me.
Now, Walker, remember, I was actually, I can't even say, because All Saints isn't even like a clear favorite here. So I'm going to shut up and just let you pick.
I'm of course gonna ride with my Eagles. I trust in this team. I trust in the coaching. I trust in the guys that have been working this whole summer to get where they're the TAPS Division II semifinalists are not going to go away easily in this district. They have a rest. They went on, had their bye, and they're ready to go. Southwest Christian, go prove me right, guys. I'll ride with you to the end of until I fall off my horse. I will ride with y'all to the end. Go Eagles, Eagle Pride. Shout out to my guys over there. Prove me right, guys. I believe in y'all. I just hope, guys, that the mindset, after the TCA loss is back to being where, you are dominant. You have the talent to do this. You have it. This is a big game, by the way, and guys over in Fort Worth. We've never played. I never played All Saints when I was growing up. Never really did it besides playing YMCA ball against some of those guys in like 3rd grade. We have never played each other. This is a first time in a long, long time. And this is exciting because a lot of kids from SES know a lot of kids from All Saints. This is a big, big game. And for that reason, I just think the guys have it over there for the Southwest Christian. So give me Southwest Christian, man. Go prove me it right, guys.
I want to say one more thing real quick. Jalen Spriggs. I know we don't talk about, we really haven't been mentioning his name a lot because this team has been losing, right? Still almost put up 300 yards passing against Midland Christian. His main receiver was Ryan Kramer. Gosh, man, it's like, this Jalen, I know you're doing what you can do. I know you're, proving well. He scored 4 touchdowns in total. He scored 2 through the air and 2 on the ground. Jalen's he's being the leader for this Fort Worth All Saints team. But yeah, I think you're 100% right when it comes to the rivalry. This is the Fort Worth game that has been waiting to happen. And if we're gonna look at any of these games this week, this is the game of the week. If you needed a game of the week, this is the game of the week because it's going to be the closest matchup of all, and it's going to have the most meaning because this is one of the hardest districts, and you have to win these games because you can't beat somebody else when it comes down to the rest of the district.
Definitely so. So Southwest Christian, Walker Lott implores you for personal reasons and due to an act of loyalty. I implore you because I want to win this pick record and take that trophy back home. So that actually will conclude all of the games we are previewing for this episode. And on a grander scale, we'll conclude the episode. So Walker, I'll start with you. Is there anything that you want to hit on before we get out of here?
Another great week. A lot of really good games. Excited to cover all of them. Be in the live, guys. And also subscribe, turn on your notifications so we know it. We're gonna put it out around 7 o'clock each Thursday night. But yeah, this is gonna be a good week of high school football again. A lot of another good district slate. And also, yeah, for sure, if you have a best student section, reach out to us. Let us know down below why you think y'all's student section is the best. DM us on the pod or on our actual individual accounts. I'm really excited for that. We'll talk about it next episode because that's a really cool topic, because I really do think, like Wes said, I think against some of the bigger 6A schools, I think the private school runs deep. After watching St. Thomas and Bel Air last year, where their student section is literally their entire stands. I mean, most schools don't have that, so they come to ready to play. The fan men up in St. Mark's. I mean, super fan men. I mean, there's a lot of good student sections, man.
Definitely so. Ryan Schroeder, closing comments.
Yeah, closing comments real quick, y'all. Keep it short and simple. Like always, make sure to let us know what the best student section is, but also make sure we're trying to keep this more on a timely basis. So you'll be seeing these episodes try to come out at that 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock time on those Thursday nights, and you'll start to see the articles come out on Tuesday nights. If you haven't already, check out our website, txpsmedia.com. It'll be in the description. It'll be on Twitter. It's everywhere. It's in our link tree. Check out that we have articles coming out every Tuesday and galleries coming out every now and then after games. So make sure to check out the website. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. And yeah, and join our spaces after the games. Come on, y'all. That's where the most fun is where you can get the most interaction with us. We love talking to people. And finally, we're getting people to talk to us. I feel like we had the most interactions this past week with people coming on and talking. We love when Jordan Green comes on there and lets us know how he feels inside of a Whataburger in Fort Worth. I'm just kidding.
I agree. Yeah, I heard through the grapevine that no context account joined, but I must have just missed him. That dude's crazy. I'm gonna have to meet the guy that runs that account at some point. But yeah, y'all honestly do need to join the lives. They're really, really fun. It always somehow devolves into just college football talk for the last 15 minutes of this space. And somehow there's always 15 people that stick around and listen to us just ramble about college football, which is always fun. But make sure to join the space. Great time every Friday night, roughly 10 to 10:30. But with that being said, that is actually all we're going to discuss this episode. So, as always, I've been 130, your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder have fantastically been themselves. We will see you in the next episode. See you later.
3, 2, 1.